Hi, everyone. So today, I'm here today with Nishal from Educational Initiatives in India, and we are really excited to talk about this idea around ImageNet for math errors. But before we dive in, we'd love to give Nishal the opportunity to introduce himself as well as the work that his company is doing.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of this conference. I'm Nishchal. I lead the pedagogical research team at Educational Initiatives. It's a 20-year-old organization in EI, and in fact, it's Asia's largest assessment and learning solution provider company. One of our the flagship product is Asset, and we also have a learning solution, MindSpark, which has been recognized independently by various studies. Our vision is to create a world where children are learning with understanding, and that has been the core of all the work that we do. And I'll be happy to talk about the idea that we have submitted as part of this workshop.
Great. Yeah. Thanks so much. And again, thanks for submitting your idea to, our call for ideas around ImageNet for education. And, as we discussed previously, this ImageNet for education is really to spur innovation in thinking through what kind of data sets will be beneficial for, improving the state of education, both in terms of equity, in terms of access, as well as in terms of learning across all ages. So can you tell us a bit more about your idea for this data set and what, in particular, what the world could learn if it were to be created?
Sure. So like I said, our vision has been to create a world where children everywhere are learning with understanding. And we strongly believe that one of the steps towards reaching that vision is to create high quality diagnostic assessments, which can actually tell us where the gaps exist. And there's very specific gaps that exist. Typically, worldwide, we have seen that the principle that people follow is like, if teachers teach, students learn. And if students are not learning, just teach them again and students will learn. But we find that principle not working often. And one of the reasons in our experience of working in this field has been that students often, as part of the learning cycle, it's pretty normal to do that, which is, and they develop alternate conceptions or they develop misconceptions, and students make very specific errors in various topics, and that provides a hindrance towards learning specific concepts. So while development of these alternate conceptions or misconceptions is pretty normal, as a teacher, it becomes very important to be able to identify the exact gap so that that specific error can be overcome. And that's where the idea of the ImageNet idea for education that we have proposed is to invite people, or whether it is teachers or parents, to submit in form of photos or videos of specific errors that students are making, which can then be used to create a large database of very specific student errors in variety of topics. And of course, given the vastness of the different subjects and the different topics, what we could do is we could start with something very specific, which is, say, let's say the 4 basic arithmetic operations. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. They're also like they're the foundational skills which are necessary to build other skills and concepts as well in mathematics. So if we take these 4 operations, and if we are able to collect large amount of student errors, we can then create a large database of specific errors that students make in addition, specific errors students make in subtraction. And that then can be useful to a variety of people, whether it is teachers or content writers or researchers. In India, because of our work around foundational numeracy, we have been able to collect such errors from the Indian context. But I think this can be extremely powerful if you are able to do this at even larger scale from different countries and create a database of this sort.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's great, and it's super interesting. Thanks for sharing. So I guess, to be a bit more concrete, so when you talk about errors in terms of the four kind of fundamental core operators, so are we thinking like, so for addition in particular, it'd be something like if students are making just a very simple kind of summation error where it's like, 1 + 1 = 3, and so so do your tests kind of like take that and kind of capture that and log it?
Yeah, definitely.
Got it.
I think so what we do is we definitely collect student writings, the samples, and use that in a way to create this sort of a database. So for example, if a student is solving up, say, 49 + 32 and is making a specific error, so instead of the answer 81, if the student is doing, say, 711, that error is captured, and that is then analyzed to understand what exactly the student did to arrive at that answer. And then we have found patterns underlying the errors as well. So there are different errors that students may be making, and the way they arrive at a specific error is because of a way of thinking. And that behind each error, there is a different way of thinking.
Right. That makes sense. And so I guess, in your view, why do you think like this is the right time for this now? And has this been kind of large data set of student errors been attempted before, to your knowledge, or do you know why it hasn't existed in the past yet?
Yeah, I think there are researches which have happened in pockets. So if we Google, say, errors made in subtraction, or say misconceptions students have in even a science concept, say for example gravity, you're likely to find research papers which talk about a few of them. But it's difficult to find one source or one database where all the errors or all the misconceptions are recorded systematically. And there are very few places where such things are actually done and recorded. Given the current way technology is being accepted, overall we are seeing this the educational technology and technology-based solutions are getting acceptance widely. And one of the things which is believed to be working in case of technology-based solutions is personalized solutions that the technology-based platforms are able to provide. And they definitely, when they supplement teaching, which is already happening in a classroom, they offer higher advantage and promise in terms of improving learning outcomes. And one of the key things in this is to be able to provide teaching at the right level and targeted teaching when it comes to, say, solving specific errors that students are making or gaps that exist. So in our experience of even working to create one such learning solution, which is MindSpark, which is a personalized adaptive learning solution, we have found that targeted solutions often work better when they are based on a strong diagnosis. So for example, if a student is learning, say, the concept of decimals, if I'm able to diagnose first what the child is doing, and then identify that this is the specific error the student is making, and then provide a very personalized solution around that error. Instead of providing a general lecture saying this is how decimals is, this is the place value concept of decimals, and this is the comparison, this is how you compare decimals. Instead of providing a lecture like that, if I'm able to diagnose and then give a personalized solution, that can be that's found to be much more powerful in our experience. And that's where we believe that a body of knowledge like this of specific errors can be very powerful. So given the way I think we are creating technology-based learning solutions, personalized solutions, this has even greater application in today's world.
Got it. Yeah. That was, you beat me to my next question. I was going to ask, what are examples of future work that you think could be built on top of this data, but having these kind of personalized tutors or automated grading systems that are more personalized could be very interesting. And I'm wondering from your perspective. So you mentioned that educational initiatives has this like large number of students in India, what kind of scale are we talking about, and how much more data do you think we have to collect in order to get to this desired state that you are imagining?
Yeah, so we work in India and even other countries in Asia and Africa. The scale at which we collect data is around 400,000 students across grades 1 to 10 every year take part in the assessments that we conduct. Even in our learning solution, we have data from over 100 to 200,000 students every year. And what it has helped us in the past 20 years is to build the data, the kind of database that we are talking in certain concepts, in certain contexts really well. So if I talk about India, we work across private schools and government schools. So the kind of data that we have reflects both the kind of demographics, both the kind of socioeconomic backgrounds of students. And the kind of examples that we have found, in some cases, the errors are, it doesn't depend on where the student is coming from. It depends on the way he or she has learned, or the kind of notions that is developed as part of that learning journey. Again, just to give some more examples of the kind of errors that we are talking about. So let's say the addition of numbers. So there are, just in case of addition, there's a long list of errors that we have recorded. So for example, when you give addition of two numbers, say with regrouping, 49 plus 32, and the answer is 81, you find that students often do 711 as they write that is the answer. What they typically do is they add in columns without regrouping. So I do 49 plus 32, so 9 plus 2 I write 11, and 4 plus 3 I write 7. Right? The other kind of errors that we have found even in this case is students add from left to right, and so they add the tens first and then the ones. So while in case of addition without regrouping, it doesn't create a problem. So if I give say 25 plus 32, I can say 57 if I do left to right also. But the moment I do with regrouping 49 plus 32, I end up writing 711, and that's a problem. Right? So that's another kind of error. Then there are errors where I don't align the numbers properly. So if I say 49 plus 5 is equal to what? So instead of saying 54, I write, so the students tend to write vertically, and they say 49 and they write 5 under 4 at the tens place instead of the ones place. That's where they make the error. And even in case of addition, while students may be able to do some of these well, we have found very specific errors when it comes to numbers which involve 0 as a digit. So they often make mistakes when 0 is one of the digits. So for example, one of the mistakes is any number plus 0 is equal to 0. That's the error that they make. So I mean, these are just some of the examples. And I think based on some of the data that we have collected, I think it's possible to, not just build this sort of list of errors, but if you are able to collect data at scale, I think the power is that we can actually predict the frequency at which we are likely to find this error. And just to give a very crude comparison between, so if I go to Google and if I say what percentage of people in the world have diabetes, it will give you a very specific, in a box, it will say X percentage people have diabetes. And if you specify like a geography or a country, it will say so many percentage in India have diabetes. But today, if I Google saying what percentage of students make this specific error in addition, or what percent of students don't understand multiplication, it will give me some random resources or links where I can go and learn addition or watch some videos. And that's the kind of gap that exists. I think the way the field of medicine has advanced in the past 100 years because of the discovery of the science of medicine. I think the same applies to education. I think we believe that there's an underlying science of learning as well, where if we are able to collect data at scale, we can identify specific errors that students make, specific skills that students need to master and able to learn concepts. And the large scale data can then help in uncovering such insights, which can then be used to create resources for teachers or personalized solution for students.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely one of overarching goals, both of this particular breakout sessions as well as the entire workshop as well. Trying to find solutions that would advance, equitable access to solutions for students all around the world. So I guess, in terms, as we kind of wrap up here, I'd be curious as to what your, if you had a magic wand, to create this data set, what would your next step be to do so? How would you think about next steps from here? Yeah.
Definitely, I think in terms of next step, we would like to partner with researchers worldwide. We would like to invite or so kind of hold a campaign where people, teachers, parents can submit videos, photographs of very specific student errors, which then we can use to identify student errors, and then even use some of these machine learning techniques to be able to build certain models to say that, yeah, so many students make this error, so many with certain frequency. And just based on a photograph of a student or of an error that someone submits tomorrow, we can say that, yeah, this error means this particular mistake that the student is making.
Got it. Yeah, that's great. And so for the audience who are tuning in today, you would be able to find Nishal's contact in the show notes and production notes. And feel free to reach out if you have ideas or are interested in collaborating. So thank you so much, Nishal, for joining us today, and hope to see you at a conference as well, virtually.
Thank you, Sam.